What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Richard. If you haven't already, please go ahead and either like and subscribe to my channel so you guys can get these new updates when I post them. And I want to share something very, very special with you today. Are you ready? My first property, the number one property that I started my entire portfolio with, was such a special property. Because over the last few years, I was able to take that property from only 1 to 5. How was I able to do this? I'm about to break every single detail down for you in this video. And I want you guys to take some notes and learn some real estate. So this is how I did it. My first property ever, I purchased it in an auction, right? So I bought it much lower than what it was actually worth, which is great, because whenever you buy something at a very low price, you make a lot of money off of it, especially in real estate. And that's what I did. I bought this property below market, severe below market value, because I bought it from an auction, and it was because the person that owned it disappeared. They stopped paying their taxes for 7 years. Can you imagine that? Imagine if you stopped paying your taxes right now for 7 years. Scary, right? So this person stopped paying their taxes for 7 years. Cousin Richard came in and bought the property for $150,000 in all cash. At the time, I was severely involved in trading stocks. I love trading stocks, and I was making a lot of money off of it, so I used that money. I didn't know what to do with it, so I bought myself real estate. This was 2010, going into 2011, when the market was crashing down, all right? So I bought the property, and the first thing I did was I noticed something. I noticed that this property was a multi-family zoned property, but it was being used as a single family residence. And I thought, man, if it's zoned multi-family, then why don't I just convert this into a true multi-family property? And so Cousin Richard had an idea. And I'm relating to myself as Cousin Richard, right? Cousin Richard had an idea. Why don't I just convert this into a triplex? So that's what I did. I put up some walls, I got some permits, and I was able to reconfigure the entire 7-bedroom, 5-bathroom layout. It also has a pool, to a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom on the side. And I was able to make off of that property at the time $3,500 a month. And that was my gross. So after taxes, insurance, there was no mortgage on it. I was netting in about, let's call it $2,000 a month. My $2,000 a month produced for me between 2011, when I finalized the rehab and I was able to fill the tenants in, I had $20,000 to $25,000 a year for the first 2 years. And then I started making a little bit more because I started gradually increasing the rents as rents increase. And then in the last 24 months, I've raised the values of those rents by improving a little bit more on the property to about $5,250 a month, right? Total between all 3 units. So it makes a good amount of money, but this is how I was able to get to 5 properties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all right? I was able to get to 5 properties. So the first thing I did was I noticed that by improving the value of the first property, I created what was called value add, all right? Value add improved the value of the property, and what that did was it gave an immense amount of appreciation into my property. I bought it for $150,000. I put $50,000 worth of work into it, and today's value is $700,000. That's today's value. It's been a few years, right? But at the time when I did my first refinance, and if you don't know what a refinance is, I highly recommend that you go ahead and take a look at my recent video that I posted, which goes into breaking down how a refinance works or how a cash out refinance works. But to get back to the subject, this property I refinanced about 2 years ago. I refinanced it at a total value of $525,000. Let's break down the numbers. $525,000 is the current value 2 years ago. I refinanced for $425,000. I was able to take that $425,000 and put it in my pocket. I used from the $425,000, $300,000, and I put $100,000 on 3 new properties. So 100,000, 100,000, and 100,000. I then created value in each one of those properties. So now I had 4 properties and I created value in each one of those properties, right? So I put in 25,000, 25,000, and 25,000, totaling the amount of money that I used to now own 4 properties of $375,000. I still had roughly $50,000 left in my pocket. But this is where it became very special. Those 3 new properties had value add created in them as well. So those properties went up in value and I refinanced all 3 of those properties to take out cash out refinances off of them. And I took 25,000, 25,000, and 25,000, a total of an additional $75,000 on top of the already existing $50,000 that I had. So I had $125,000 left after these new refinances. This now $125,000, I was able to go buy another property totaling 5 new properties. So I had my original property and then 4 new properties with value add created in all 4. I then, on the 5th property, I did another cash out refinance, took value out of that property, and I have those in reserves now to readily deploy into new properties. Now, you're probably watching this after I've already used those reserves to go buy more real estate, which is what I would imagine doing. And that's what happens when you continue to do cash out refinances on the new values of these properties. You are consistently building more value through value add. You are then cash out refinancing, and then you are using those funds to reinvest. Reinvestment is a very big term here. Reinvest into your portfolio. And as you keep on reinvesting in your portfolio starts growing. You have 1 property to then 5 properties to then 10 properties to then 20 properties, and it just keeps on building up because you keep on doing these value add refinances. Now, if you guys are unaware of how this works to the T, then you could go on YouTube and you can look for all the different types of videos that you can, or to make your life simple and to give you the step-by-step exact details of how to do this, I created a course. It helps you out. It takes you from how I bought my first property to how I was able to scale my properties to over 36 different units, and it gives you the repeating process of how to use the cash out refinances in these reinvesting stages, right? Very, very important for you as a new beginner to learn the step-by-step and not just sporadically look at different YouTube videos to try to make sense of it all. Imagine, I'd be confused, right? I'd be like, man, how do I do this? All right, so getting back to it, that's how I built 5 properties from my 1 property that I originally purchased, and I have continued to do this where now I have way more than 5 properties, and I even own buildings, and I'm now helping others do the exact same thing. If you guys are really interested in knowing more, just drop a comment below or subscribe as I keep on putting out more of these videos that break down exactly how I was able to do this. If you have any other questions, follow me on Instagram, where I post every day about my journey through real estate, or the longer form content on YouTube is always going to help you out. All right, guys, this was the video to break down my 5 properties from 1 property. I hope you guys learned a lot of cool stuff. I'll see you guys soon.